What is up, and welcome in to the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I'm your host, Ezra McCann, and I'm joined, as always, by my outstanding co-host. He's a Chicago Public League legend. He's a Simeon legend. He's a Grambling State legend. He played second base for the Tigers back in the day. He was all swag. He's Brandon Williams, a.k.a. Coach Smoke. And we've got our NFL draft analyst for NBC Sports Chicago. You can catch all his work at NBCSportsChicago.com and the My Teams app. He's got something new and fresh up for you right now. He's Glenn Morgan. He's our GM. Gentlemen, what's going on? How you guys doing?
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, you got to add another title, bro. You got to add another title.
Another title.
Yeah,
you got
another
too
title,
many titles, man. I can't keep up with all this.
MC for late night with Chuck and Ozzy. Gotta throw it.
I was gonna ask, where did the Alejandro accent come from for the late night with Chuck and Ozzy?
Oh, that's a misspent youth, obviously, watching too many TV novellas.
Okay. Those are really, even though I don't understand them, they're really good.
Yeah, very interesting.
Definitely keep you in tune with what's going on without actually knowing what's going on.
Ozzy can't remember my first name or how to say it. So my middle name's Alexander. So I said, hey, man, just call me Alejandro. He's like, oh, okay, I can remember that. And I think like his father-in-law or something like that, or grandfather, somebody in his family's name is Alejandro.
Yeah.
So you just, just roll with it. Just flow with it.
Don't feel bad. Ozzy don't know my name either. We talk every day. He don't know my name.
Every day.
It's all good, though. It's all good. Smoke, how was vacation?
Yeah, man.
It was nice.
What was the name of the place you went again? I never heard of it until you said you went to it.
Turks and Caicos.
God bless you.
little small island just north of the Dominican Republic.
Okay,
I just know that's where Jay go all the time. That's his island.
Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So what's so special? I mean, I seriously never heard like what I know nothing about is gross national product or anything. Like what
don't get me this is my first this is my first time out the country. So
really? Okay.
Yeah. So it was just my wife friend plans trips. It was a couple's trip. It was right around my birthday, so it was perfect. And most of us turned 35 this year, so it was like a 35th trip for everybody.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
that's cool. All right. So you had a good time?
Had a good time.
Great. That's cool. Lots of sun and fun and beaches.
We got some bucket list things off, parasailing and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So
that's
snorkeling.
The parasailing is when you're on the back of the boat and you're in the air.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's adventurous right there. Good stuff.
How did it get you down? You just fall in the water?
It's like a crane that releases you and they reel you in.
Okay.
Yep.
They just stop and you just fall in the water.
They did. He did dump us in the water as he was reeling us in. They brought us in. But it was cool. It was cool.
Good stuff. Wait, let's start. Busy sports week here. Let's start with the beloved Bears, who got a nice win over the Houston Texans, 23-20.
Was it a nice win?
Every win's a nice win. Man.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter. Dub's a dub.
Especially when you ain't supposed to win.
Right. Especially with this team, man. Especially with this team. Last second victory when Cairo Santos, 27-yard field goal, so a chip shot. But got the dub. Very nice. There were some good things that came from this game. Some very positive things that we can move forward with, and there were some concerning things too.
Okay.
So let's start with the positive first. All right.
They won. All right.
They won. Yeah, they won. They wheeled off 281 yards rushing, which was the most rushing yards by the Bears since 1984 in a single game.
Oh wow.
Which is
Walter Payton era.
Yeah. So which is hard to believe.
It is, but there's probably some numbers where it's like 265, 270. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
280 is a pretty high number.
No, definitely. But I'm saying though, there have been some. Walter still had a few years remaining. Neil Anderson,
Forte.
Forte, Thomas Jones.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but that's not about one person. That was a team. That was a team. What you
Team
just gave
effort.
us was a team effort.
I get that.
Yeah, so I'm saying that 280. That's a tough number to get to. So you probably had a lot of games where Bears are like 220, 230, which is still really good. 240.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, man,
Yeah,
it's awesome. You can get 200 yards on the ground. You should win.
right.
In theory.
Theoretically.
Almost didn't work out that way though. Another positive, Roquan Smith. I think he took our advice and he watched some film on Derek Brooks and Lance Briggs and figured, hey, let me show Lovey that I can play this defense. Going up against Houston, obviously, but 16 tackles,
that's
couple
nice.
for loss, and
sealing it.
He was filling those gaps, and the game-winning interception. That's right. So positives. We're looking at all the positives here.
Pay that man.
Yeah.
Pay him.
I know we talked bad about him last week, but no, he looked good. He can play the will linebacker, I think.
Yeah, it just takes time. You have to get used to it. It's a new system.
Positive. Eddie Jackson.
Did what? I saw him whiff on a couple of things and totally get lost in space. So what? He got off the game healthy.
He played all right.
He got off the game healthy. Okay.
Jack played all right. He played all right.
Yeah.
I'm grasping the straws now.
Herbert. I mean, I know you mentioned rushing, but
Yeah, I mean Herbert. I mean, come on. At 280, he had 154.
151,
151, yeah. And two tutties, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was the offense, And if you're talking all those yards and the running back, you got to talk to offensive line because you don't get those without the guys blocking. So their run blocking seems to really be coming together.
Okay.
Crickets. Okay.
I buy that.
Well, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying it's coming together. I mean, it's a work in progress.
It is.
But
it definitely is.
Yeah, like you said, 200 plus yards, and Lions got to be paving its way. And then one of those touchdowns, is some decent blocking right to the end zone. And I think was it Borum? I think he whacked. No, not Borum. I think it was it left tackle Brandon? Is it Brandon?
Oh, Jones.
Yeah, I think he gave somebody a whack towards it right at the goal line so that Herbert could lay in there. So yeah, man, it's a work in progress. The defense has been, if not spectacular, it's been consistent. And like you say, things you can build on. It's not like it's just one player. It was Roquan big time the other day, but we've seen other players make plays. It hasn't just been the same one guy all 3 weeks.
Okay.
That's it. That's all the good stuff I can say.
I can't. Yeah, I'm saying I can't think of anything else. The concerning issue is one quarterback, Justin Fields. He had.
Usually I would know this stuff, but I didn't even want to look at his stat line. I purposely chose.
Yeah, Smoke. All right, you got it right. So he was 8 for 17, 106 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 27.7. That's not good. I also saw, looking back at it, there were a couple times where he had some protection, had some open receivers,
was looking in their direction
and didn't pull the trigger.
Did pull the trigger.
There was one I saw. I don't know if you guys saw it. The all 22 look.
Mm-hmm. I was watching it earlier.
He drops back to pass. Perfect pass protection.
Off to the right side.
To the right side, he had I think it was Mooney, and he had St. Brown, I believe. Mm-hmm. St. Brown ran a flag route.
Right.
Mooney ran it was like a 8-yard in.
Oh, was it in? Okay, yeah,
it was an in.
Yeah,
it was an in.
Right.
Both open.
Mooney was wide open.
All he had to do was hit it quick.
Yeah.
He held on to the ball. Now he was able to escape, the pressure came. He was able to escape, and he got a big big gain. Rushing the football, but the pass was there, and that's an issue. That tells me I was telling Smoke this. That tells me two things: either he's gun shy now, or he just can't. He doesn't know how to read a defense, and that seriously concerns me right now.
I've been battling myself, like looking at him these first 3 games, looking at him in the preseason, and then looking at him last year. He was throwing the ball much better than he is now last year. So what is it that the coaching is doing now that has him like he is? Even in the preseason, I get it. You're not playing against the number ones typically, but he was throwing the hell out the ball. Now it's like, it's real flinchy. What's going on? Is the message, don't put the ball in harm's way? If it ain't there, first read, take off. Like, what is going? It's weird right now.
Well, I would almost say, or lend myself to agreeing with you if it wasn't for the fact that with that first read, particularly the play that Ed's talking about, with that first read, they're open. So it's not like he's looking in that direction. It wasn't like he was looking off to the left and got there late. He was literally looking there. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's about to pass the ball. And he just holds on to it and doesn't pass. And then he has another moment of hesitation, like, maybe should I pass again? Like, he really had almost like 2 shots at it. If you can think about it in like a point, like a 1.2 second frame, like 0.6 each time. Like, he had literally had a chance to throw it and then like throw it. And then he was like, then the defense, kind of made him run out of the pocket. So it isn't that he's not reading it, because that was his first read. His body, like his throwing setup was to that side. So he's looking right at it. So that's not the problem. Like Ed says, he didn't pull the trigger. So is he gun shy? And earlier before we started this, I was saying maybe it's paralysis by analysis. Maybe he's in his head too much, which, can be a problem, clearly, because that wasn't the only play. I saw a couple other plays on the 22 where he did something similarly, and that those guys weren't as open, but there are a couple of times where he could have got rid of the ball. And by the time he threw it, it was too late, and so fortunately it was an errant pass, but it's like he's just not sure that he should let the ball go. And I don't know why that is. And is that mystery to that question come from practices that we can't see? What are they saying to him? I mean, it's weird. I mean, I know he's got 2 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions on the season now, right? Because he was 2-4 when he came into the game. He threw 2 this past week. So he's, he 3 times as many interceptions. He's going in the wrong direction with his interception to touchdown ratio. So it should be touchdown interception ratio. His interception to touchdown ratio. He's 3-1 the wrong way. And I did not think, of all things, I thought he'd be the kind of guy that would be like, I'm going to be me, And right now he seems like he's in his head, and that's a nebulous place to be, because you don't know what it takes to get him out. You don't know what in his head he's, confused about.
Yeah, I think the question that he got last week, I think the fans, I think that pressure is on him.
Yeah, but
I know it sounds crazy, but he shouldn't be paying attention to that. He shouldn't give it. His response was perfect in my opinion.
Right.
But I think that does weigh on him.
Well, it seems like he's pretty much winning everywhere but on the field. Like, he seems to pretty much say the right things. And even if he says something wrong, his awareness about what he says, he addresses, and he seems very confident when he speaks publicly, like when he makes his public statements. There doesn't seem to be any hesitation with that. On the football field, it's like, dude, what is going on with you? And I don't know. I mean, San Francisco. We go back to the San Francisco game, and as bad as the weather was, it's like, hey, you made the best of a bad situation. You did what you need to do to win. That's what winners do. That's what leaders do. They do the slip and slide. Everybody's joining in. It's like, man, okay, this is this dude's team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. And each week after that, it's been like a regression, and I don't get it. I just don't. And that's like they said, starting out, that's concerning.
Could it be that this is the first time that he's had to deal with this type of adversity before?
Probably. I mean, I undoubtedly. I mean, you go back to he was in high school. He was, clearly
he was a man amongst boys. Yeah,
exactly. You go to Georgia. The only adversity was I'm not starting. On a great team. With a guy who just went to the national championship. He leaves, go to Ohio State, and he becomes the guy. And yeah, Ohio State's stacked, but every team that plays for the national championship or playoff team, they're all stacked. But he came in, competed, never lost a Big Ten game.
2-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. And, the game against Clemson, he takes a very serious blow that could have knocked anyone out of the game. Stays in. Every pass he throws after that hurts and throws 4 more touchdown passes. So the toughness doesn't seem to be an issue. He doesn't seem like he doesn't seem skitterish in the pocket. He doesn't seem like I don't want to take a hit. Because it just seems like he's just uncertain if he should just throw the ball, and that's just weird. I can't figure it.
Might be seeing ghosts.
Might be
a Sam Darnold situation. I mean, we've said it many of times last year and some this year. As soon as he's hiking the ball, look like the defense is already on him. Then when he gets time, it
doesn't feel right.
He's fidgeting.
Wait a minute, no one's here.
This can't be real.
What is wrong with this picture?
So it's a lot that could be going into this. I mean, hey, look at the bright side. We're seeing, because the quarterback we were trying to push hard for, we're seeing what life would have been like with him if he was with us, because he looks just as bad in Denver. But that's neither here nor there. But and he got weapons. But
true.
So, I mean, I'm gonna just continue to. It's frustrating, but we winning.
2-1.
We winning. I definitely would prefer to see him be a bigger cause to these wins. But hey, we're winning. If the national media want to say it, hey, they're 2-1 when they come to dangerous, but say it for us too. 2-1. Our wins have been actually, one of our 2 wins was a little more spectacular than both of theirs. So I mean, hey.
I heard Colin Cowherd the other day.
Hey, he touched on something that
you tell me about. I was going to say he was actually talking about the Packers, but he was talking about how they played the Bears. He said the Bears are terrible, and then he thought about it. He's like, well, they're 2-1. But they're not a good football team.
Well, he brought up, and it was like, wow, this is interesting. Of the bottom 8 offenses in football, 7 of the 8 have defensive coaches.
Yeah, he's been harping on that since the summertime.
And I'm like, shit.
Meaning what?
That the game has changed. Where and he made a good point that I've always hated about having a defensive coach. You get an offensive coach. I mean, you get a defensive coach and you get a good offensive coordinator. If that team blossoms, that offensive coordinator is gone the next year. Now you have to restart
Right.
again. Like, and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. Like,
well, I still believe in it's more important for your head coach to have leadership qualities than to be a hands-on coordinator. Yeah. But that's what you're right. That's what he's been harping on, saying that, you know, the offensive head coach is more successful in this league now, just based on the rules changes and style of offense. Now it's not, you know, 3 yards in a cloud of smoke offense anymore. You're airing it out. So I don't know if I believe that yet. But
I mean,
you're right. It's as of right now, we just started week 4.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think for us, we have to take consideration that we have, like we've said this many times, we have a million holes on this team. A million holes. Like I keep saying, and I'm telling people this all over social media. Yeah, I want Justin Fields to show progression too. I want him to be good. Yes, it's frustrating that he isn't looking the best right now. But we also got to take consideration that we were projected as the worst roster in football. Like, we have a long way to go. Now, yeah, you want to see those progressions, but shoot, next year is when we got money to spend. Now, let's see how the front office go about doing things to, you know, help him then. Because one thing that goes unnoticed is the things these other teams did for those young quarterbacks.
Right.
They helped him on that side of the ball. Did the Bears do anything to help him on that side of the ball?
No, not yet.
Exactly. Not yet. I'm not going to say they're not, but they haven't yet. And they have a lot of money to do so next year. So it's like, let's see how he continues to develop this year in a new system. And then when they get those weapons in for him next year, maybe he flourished because now he's 2 years into the same system. If the coach don't somehow get taken away.
let me ask you this. No, he's not leaving this year after this season.
No.
We might keep squeaking out wins.
He's not going anywhere yet. Not yet. I think what's his name? What's the offense coordinator's name?
Getsy.
Yeah, Luke Getsy. Yeah, the way this offense is playing now, he ain't going nowhere. He'll be right up in Lake Forest going into next season. Not worried about that. But I will ask you this though, as a up and coming free agent, would you want to come here at this moment, the way this offense is looking?
Well, I'm sorry. You didn't say which side of the ball initially.
Offense. I'm talking offense. I'm talking about offense.
Offense. I think so but you got to find the right person who believes that they have something to prove, and you sell the city, you sell other things that Chicago has to offer, and you make a substantial offer. I think that's who you're able to attract, because there are worse places than Chicago to live. You know, like if you're a free agent going to Green Bay, and there's no Aaron Rodgers, so to speak, it'd probably be a tougher sell. Or if you're a free agent, free agent going to Detroit, it's like, like when you go, living in Chicago is not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Very
true.
But a lot of these guys, it don't really matter because you're going home in the off season anyway, right?
No, what I'm saying is, while you're playing here in Chicago, there are worse places to be stuck in. It's Chicago's a metropolitan city, it's an international city. There's a lot, especially if you're a veteran with a family, or a veteran and you're married, and a veteran who's married to a wife who might have her own ambitions and things to do. there are opportunities in
Oh,
Chicago.
absolutely. I totally agree with that.
So what I'm saying is you're not necessarily, if you've noticed, I've gotten away from selling him on this offense is going to make you great. I'm selling you on you can be great in this town. This town has a lot to offer you.
And with global warming, it doesn't get cold here until December, late December.
There you go.
January.
And with the money we're offering you.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. At this point, it's about
but everybody, money. But everybody offering is going to be able to offer the same money though.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. You're not gonna get whoever the top notch person is, because they're gonna look at just, especially if it's a receiver, if it's a skill position guy. And basically by skill position, we're talking receiver. The running backs probably, from a running back, it might appeal a little bit more. I think what you target is like an offensive lineman.
Well, I'm talking. I think the line will be fine.
You get you one professional.
I'm talking about
tackle.
Like you said, what you call skill. I hate when people call it skill position as a lineman. But yeah, but I'm saying as a receiver and tight ends. That's what I'm talking about.
One thing I feel like we've never touched on it, and maybe it wasn't a point to, but I'll ask you this, Glenn. We've never touched on the addition of Alex Leatherwood. Now, granted, he's out until what, another few weeks?
I think it was four weeks.
What addition do we think he would be to this O-line?
I'm not banking on him at this point.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons. One, he kind of didn't succeed at two positions that they tried him at with the Raiders.
Okay.
There was talk even before the draft that maybe he might be a little overvalued if he went in the first round, which he did with like 17th or 18th, I think.
Right.
And I'm not sure if he's suited for the NFL game per se. Now, and that's it's tough because he's just been in the league like 1 year. So sometimes an offensive lineman, it takes them a few years. You've had some guys that on their second team or their third team, all of a sudden they become like all pros, they become like stalwarts because
when was the last time a guy came back after getting let go as a first round pick after 1 year?
Was it all performance or was it?
I think it was all
discipline.
I think it was all
no disciplinary issues.
I don't think no.
He's not that kind of dude. It's just all performance, dude. But you know what, man? The thing is, sometimes just gotta find the right team, the right spot for you, and it's how you're being coached. It's them understanding you. It's a lot of things that go into it. And I think it's too early to give up on a first round, because even if you think he's overvalued at a first round pick, he clearly would be, no worse than a third round pick. So a lot of third round picks, if you look at Seattle Seahawks offense, for example, their offensive line, with the exception of their first round pick this year, everybody else is a third round pick, so but as far as this year, I'm not expecting much from him. I don't know if either one of you guys have ever had mono. I've had it. It's an MF, dude.
Wait, is that what he has?
Yeah,
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's mono.
Oh, he about to come back.
He go.
How big was he? If he was 300, he coming back too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You're talking about. And here's the thing: we don't know how soon he got over it, because you're right. He's definitely going to lose some pounds.
I knew he had an illness. I didn't realize.
I had a college teammate that had mono. Yeah. That boy came in. He was one of the big boys on our team. He came back and small as me.
Yeah, right. I could use that right now to lose my weight, but I'm not asking for it. But I did have it. I had it in my 20s. And the thing is, it's not just the weight loss. That's part of it. And he has to get his strength back. But the other issue is, even after you quote unquote get over it, and it's like, you're through the part of it, and you can kind of get back to being who you are. It takes almost months to really get back your energy. Your energy is still, it goes quick. Your stamina just goes quickly, dude. You're like, you feel exhausted majority of the time. It takes a while, and it's not like you can, train yourself. It takes time for your body to just, it lingers, is what I'm saying. It's like you get past the heavy part of it, but dude, not only that, but sometimes for some people it affects their short-term memory. It's a hell of a it's a hell of a thing to have. So
How long did it take you to
get back to me being
Yeah.
I was in my 20s. I say I ended up dropping out of school for a semester because I just couldn't focus. So I want to say it took close to between 4 to 6 months before I didn't feel the effects of it any longer.
Wow.
And that's short-term memory, that's having energy, that's just not being tired. It sucked. I know of other people who pretty much say the same thing. So
I remember Mike Dunleavy had it when he was at Duke early on in his basketball career there.
Yeah, he was pretty much nothing that year.
Right. I remember that.
It takes a while to get over that. So I'm not expecting much this year at all. It's a body right now, to answer your question, Brandon. It's just a body right now, and we'll see what happens. But I think with the Bears, dude, with this front office, because we focus so much on Justin, understandably, because he's the quarterback, and that's necessary in today's game, no doubt. But it's not just Justin. This team, you got to figure everybody out. Like you said, there's a lot of holes.
There's a lot of holes.
So it's not just Justin. We got to figure out. We got to figure out the offensive line. We got to figure out and that's the people that were here already, and then the new people that have been added to the team from the draft and free agency. Do all these guys in these 1-year contracts? Do we keep some of them? Any of them? None of them? There's a lot to contend with, and Justin's, although a major part, he's not the only part. So into Ez's point, you look at his peers that he that came in the same draft class of the quarterbacks. They've got a lot more continuity than he has, and that helps you too. So yeah, man, he's going to need help. It's just not coming this year.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I know they did say they're going to be active in the receiver market before trade deadline. Only person that come to my mind that
Wait, who said that?
It was reported. I saw a report of, maybe it was a fake news, but
no, I found that. I hope that's true.
I did see that I saw that. So we'll see. And like I say, only person that comes to mind that I could think of that might be available to be moved, maybe DK. But what are you gonna have to give up for him is the question.
Metcalf?
Yeah.
I don't think we need to be giving up anything. We need,
and that's the thing. Yeah. Do you want to give up?
I wonder if he's a Bears fan.
Well, his dad played.
And his dad.
His dad's Terrence Metcalf. I'm curious of that.
His dad would be like, "Hell no, you ain't going there. It's where wide receivers go to die." See that happen firsthand myself.
Hey, the Giants. The next game, we're going to MetLife Stadium. I would almost call it the Meadow. Well, it is the Meadowlands. It's in the Meadowlands. Yeah, I was going to say the Meadowlands. What are you expecting? What type of game are you expecting here with these two teams?
The middle of the last week, at this time, we
running.
Yep, a quick
Both
game.
Teams. Both teams.
A game done in 2 hours, and the first NFL game done that weekend.
Which running back gonna be better, Saquon or Herbert?
I got a feeling Saquon is going to want to get some revenge. Remember, he got hurt against us the last time he played us. Out for the year, I think.
I think we beat him though.
We did, yeah.
I'm sad.
Are you saying we think we do Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so. I'd see us losing like 23-20. I see the same game, but just we'll be on the other end of it.
Score.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a sloppy game between two bad teams with fake records.
One of them coming out of that 3-1.
Exactly.
Yeah. On top in the division.
Well, maybe not.
Well, not on the Eagles side.
Undefeated.
I mean, not on the Giants side, because the Eagles are undefeated.
Yeah.
Well, on our side. So we shall see. Hey, let's move on. Big news. Actually, this has been going on for a while now, but I think it's starting to come to light, and people are trying to find out why it's not being covered as
more heavily.
Yeah, more heavily than some other news stories. But Brett Favre and his situation going on in Mississippi, where he was given funds, welfare funds, for what was supposed to be his charity, and then he basically misappropriated those funds and gave it to University of Southern Mississippi, for a volleyball facility
Arena.
that his daughter plays volleyball for the University of Southern Mississippi, and of course he's an alum of Southern Miss. That's illegal.
Well,
No, it isn't. No, you can't misappropriate funds like that. That's fraud.
He's on that line. I mean, there have been people who have been, arrested and having to deal with that. And I think one person already received like a sentence of 32 years. The issue is he accepted the money, but he didn't necessarily take it away from someone. It was taken from someone by someone and given to him.
Right. No, but that's for the governor to answer for. What he did was
not just the governor. The woman who, her name's Nancy New, and she's also an alum of a Southern Miss, and she had a non-for-profit organization, and her non-profit organization allowed her to be able to distribute millions of federal dollars for TANF, which is basically temporary assistance for needy families. Right. And so she was taking money from that and using that to pay him, and somehow this other guy was involved. I'm trying to remember what his name is, but he's the one that's in jail now. Or 32. I think he's got it sitting for 32 years or something like that. And those two are like the main ones who were taking money and moving it around. And that's why I think they're caught up more initially. And Brett was like saying, well, hey, can you pay me some of them? And they were like paying him, like, can you pay me? But if you pay me, is there any way anyone's going to find out? And then the governor, like what you were saying, was saying stuff like, well, if we do this, it could be seen as misuse of funds. And that's a federal issue. So Brett is in that space right now to where it's like he can say, I didn't know that's where it was coming from. You know what I mean? He's trying to use some plausible deniability. I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. He's shady as hell, and he needs to be accountable for it. But don't forget, he also had that other deal where they were paying him. They paid him like $1 million. This was like years ago for speaking engagements, and he wasn't even speaking. And the FBI was involved in that, and he ended up paying that money back, but he didn't pay the interest back, which is around $228,000. What was that,
like a ghost, like a no-show?
Yeah,
no-show jobs.
Exactly.
But I thought that he was getting the money through his foundation.
Well, but by paying him, they're paying his foundation. So yes.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But the foundation, the way he's getting the money is for the foundation is supposed to be divvying it out to needy families. But
no. His foundation is not the needy families. His foundation was supposed to be giving out to what his foundation's mission is, and missions can change. They don't have to stay the same. And his mission, because his foundation is a combination between he and his wife's. So initially it was for, I think, I forget I don't know, his was like educational or something like that. But then his wife her having breast cancer, they ended up combining the foundation. So because he changed the name, I forget what it was originally, but it changed to Far for Hope.
Right.
And so his foundation combined with his wife's, and that money is he's supposed to distribute that money to like kids in distress and cancer victims and women. But what he was doing was he was taking that money he was given and he was using for a different purpose. And that purpose obviously was to help his daughter out or the school out by building a volleyball thing. But here's a tricky thing. When you have a foundation, you can change what your missives are. You can change what your mission statement may be this. So it's misleading because it can be like fraud. Like you're telling people you're having a fundraiser for this, and then you get the money and you don't use the money to use it for something else. So all I'm saying is the taking money from the needy families, that wasn't he wasn't taking that money. He didn't that money was given to him by the other people, by Nancy New and this other cat. And it's basically, man, it's jacked up because it's around $77 million that's either been stolen or lost. Or not lost, I'm sorry, stolen or misused, mishandled, misused.
And he only got 5 of it, huh? How much was it that they gave him?
He got 8, right?
No, I think he's $5 million that he's responsible for, or that's being attributed to him. But you had like basically, man, this
77 million.
This isn't like, I mean, this story, and the woman working on it, Anna Wolf, credit to her, she's a reporter for Mississippi Today. She's been on this, and it's crazy, man, because the money basically is taken from poor people, basically people on welfare for all intents and purposes. And it's like the governor then knew about it. The current governor's aware of it. You got people within the Southern Miss Athletic Foundation Board that know about what's going on. And then the most damning thing was Brett Favre's text saying like, "Hey, if if you guys are going to pay me, is there any way the media can find out where it came from and how much?" So clearly he's aware that what he's doing is shady.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the governor at the time was Phil Bryant. And also at the time, the president for Southern Miss was Dr. Rodney Bennett. And Brett Favre, on top of wondering about whether or not anyone's going to know about the money, he was also asking for more money and then stuff to do like construction workarounds, like cut cost construction, to the point that he said, well, hell, can you have prison labor do these lockers, construction on these lockers? Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's how unethical, how he don't give a shit about anybody but whatever it is that he needs.
Wow.
Yes. Right. So a real piece of work. And here's a dude who made over $100 million, $100 million plus as a player, not to mention how much money he's making in endorsements. I think he was bringing in close to like maybe 15 to 20 million a year.
He was trying to get the guys from Shawshank to come help out. Oh, man.
Exactly.
That's wild.
And all these people are connected to Southern Miss, like either they're alums or former alums, And it's crazy because these people, they're having these conversations like Phil Brandt and some of these other cats are like, they really like Brett Favre. He's that hero. He's that football player. He's that Mississippi boy that made it good. And it's like almost like everyone's afraid to really tell him to go F himself and no, we can't do it. They keep trying to appease him. And it's crazy, the entitlement that, Brett Favre was working under to the point that he feels like he's an untouchable.
Well, it looks like he is, though.
More and more stuff is coming out.
Well, the way it's being covered, though.
Well, that's another issue, and that's the effed up thing, because I remember Shannon Sharp saying something about it, being very vocal about it.
Yep.
What's the other dude that's on Fox? The Caucasian guy. I think he's Jewish.
Who, Nick Wright?
Nick Wright.
Nick Wright, yeah.
I think Nick Wright's kind of been saying, he's a slime bucket to some degree. But I remember, like, after the story came out, like, still during, like, for like several days after that, I kept hearing advertisements on the radio, XM radio, about Brett Favre and his show. I'm like, how has he still got a show? Like if nothing else, with these allegations, he should be suspended. They're like, no, tune in, listen to Brett Favre.
I think they finally did.
They finally
suspended
did
this week, yeah. But it's been what?
3 weeks.
Yeah.
And whenever investigated by the FBI is attributed to your story, it's really not a good sign, And like what you're saying is like the story, like, when Michael Vick in the FBI, that stuff was plastered and you couldn't get away from that story.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And it wasn't like there was a whole bunch of other stuff happening that it took away from Brett Favre's story. It just nobody was talking about it. So is that because of his ethnicity or racial component? Is it because he's Brett Favre? I mean, I don't know what that means because he's a Hall of Famer. But I mean, O.J. Simpson's gone to jail, so it's not like we haven't had Hall of Famers that have done things that were illegal.
The O.J. thing is something different. I think he went to jail for
stealing his own stuff.
Yeah, he shouldn't have gone to jail for that.
Right, I understand. But what I'm saying is
that was the makeup.
Right. makeup verdict. But I'm just saying, O.J. Simpson. I mean, if you comparatively, O.J. Simpson was probably as big, if not bigger, than Brett Favre. I mean, at the time,
bigger.
Yeah, So it can't be that his star was so shiny that you can't. Dude, is it because it's Mississippi and nobody cares about the state of Mississippi? I mean, it's the poorest state in the union. I think that's not has something to do with it. I think because if this happens in New York, Chicago, maybe even Green Bay, it's a little different. But Mississippi, does anybody care about what happens in Mississippi?
But that's why it should be.
That's why.
Story.
Well, a lot of things should be, but they aren't. I mean, the reality is, it's Mississippi. When's the last time we talked about Mississippi that the nation should care what is happening in Mississippi that had nothing to do with, civil rights or racial situations, or racial strife? It's poor people who got ripped off. I mean, the nature of the story lends itself to how much will the nation really care about it beyond a couple of words. I think it's the nature of the crime and who he is. I think it's a lot of things, but I think we're not factoring in it's poor people and it's Mississippi.
Well, here's the deal, though. The way to spin that is you're talking about what $77 million was taken from that state. That's money that could have been used for what's going on in Jackson with the water issue.
Water issues. Yeah. Volleyball is way more important.
I think it has a lot to do with ethnicity, race.
Well, because the poor people affected are Black and because he's who he is.
It's because he is who he is and of what color tone he is. I mean, and I know we're going to get into, another situation, but it's like I didn't even know of all these details that you're laying out of this situation. Like the next situation we're about to discuss, the details are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I know I'm speaking in code here, but talk about the email.
Let's get into that.
It's just like it just really be like, damn, like when it's us, they want to make sure
with your point, hold on for 1 second. With your point, that story is a lot more salacious. That story is a lot.
Well,
sexier.
let's bring up the story. Let's talk about it.
All right. You're talking about Brandon. You're talking about Ime Udoka, right?
Ime Udoka. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the story with him?
Well, the report came out that, the initial report came out that he had a consensual relationship with another Boston Celtics staff, and that he was facing up to a year suspension. Didn't necessarily say, like, it was more so gave the assumption that it was against company policy.
Code of conduct stuff.
Code of conduct, but they key word to me was consensual.
Right. So what's the problem? Right?
So it was like, okay, he's facing discipline because of consensual relationship. Then the reports just start getting, well, we still don't even know. We still don't even know. Everything is just like, if they say what really happened, he might not even be a coach anymore. Well, in that case, then Boston is fucked too. Because if he did something like sexual assault or rape, why are you just suspending this guy? But it's like, what is going on here with this situation? Like, I get code of conduct, but the women is facing no discipline. Like, it's
well, if it's rape, she would face discipline, right?
But I'm saying, like, who's putting this stuff out here?
Does it seem personal to you? Well, what's happening to him? Does it seem personal? Because, like you said, there's nothing about the woman. Like, we don't know who she is. We just know she works there. We don't know her. We don't.
Yeah, we don't know. We've been hearing. They've been naming different women. You had the woman, though. I think last name was Feaster. Everyone was putting her picture out there. Come to find out, that's not who it is.
And that was wrong.
Right, that was wrong. Then it was the vice president's wife or something.
Right.
Which I'm spinning around. I'm like, oh, so this sounds personal. But on the flip side, if he's an employee, how the hell is his wife an employee? That's against code of conduct, because that's what they put out there to us. So, like, what is going on here?
Well, here, take your point. If she's now, we don't know when she married him or when they got married, but she's a VP. Or he's a VP. She probably shouldn't be working it, but since she is, if they try to fire him, he might say wrongful termination, and he can use them as an example. How you gonna fire me when he's married to someone on staff? That's a flagrant. You've been okay with that. So how are you coming after me? So that might be why it's so tricky, and they haven't fired him just yet. I'm thinking that whatever reason why they haven't fired him yet, because it seems personal. It seems like they're caught between a rock and a hard place. And if that's the case, that might be the rock and a hard place it's caught between. But to your point earlier, his story, and Ime Udoka's, he's Black, so his story is plastered everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. It hits all the news media. I mean, and it's just, you see his face, and then the woman you mentioned, Feaster, I think she's African-American, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see her face everywhere. You didn't see the vice president's wife's face everywhere right away, if she's involved, so to speak, but what I was trying to say earlier in terms of the Brett Favre situation and why the media is not covering, and keep in mind, as I say this, I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, why is Brett Favre's story not making it big? And he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, all that stuff. Everyone knows who he is. But the Boston Celtics story is, spread across everything. I think it's the nature of the offenses. You got poor people who have money stole from them in the poorest state in the union, and it has a lot to do with white collar crime, has a whole bunch to do with a whole bunch of numbers and other interconnected financial situations that's going to take series of articles to read through to understand what's going on. or what's easier to talk about and to speculate on is an affair, a sexual affair. This person, and not only that, but don't forget, Ime Udoka's engaged for like what 7-8 years or whatever to Nia Long, who's an actress on an ongoing TV show.
She's so bad.
And they have a kid together.
She's very beautiful. I wish they would stop saying affair because he wasn't married. They ain't married. I get it, but they ain't married.
But he's engaged.
They might as well have been.
Yeah, he's engaged. Hold on, engaged, and they have a 10-year-old son. So it kind of is an affair to some degree. There may be some common law situations going on there. I don't know. Just saying. So it's Nia Long.
She had the affair. No, I don't want to put the BP out there.
Right, we don't know who. We don't know definitively. Allegedly. But Nia Long is a superstar, and so because she's Nia Long, it becomes an affair. You see what I'm saying? Just us talking about it's an affair, not an affair. It's more salacious, and I think that has a lot, and it's in Boston, and it's the Boston Celtics. You know, it's not the Sacramento Kings. It ain't the Sacramento Kings. You know what I'm saying? It's not the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, not Grizzlies. Yeah, Memphis Grizzlies or Minnesota Timberwolves. It's the Boston freaking Celtics. You know, you're talking them and the Lakers. Okay, in terms of basketball, you know, blue bloods, NBA blue bloods. And so, and I like, but Boston's been successful. They were in the finals last year. So I think some of that has to do with why the coverage has a bit more pizzazz or more, it's out there a bit more than the Brett Favre thing. Brett Favre thing gets kind of boring trying to figure it out and talk about it and where it is. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that the white-black thing doesn't have something to do with it too, and the entitlement and people probably giving Brett Favre a pass because he got a pass a long time ago when he was with the Jets and he took that pictures of his wang and was showing it around, or he was sending it to that woman. Pictures of his dick and shit, you know, sending it to that woman.
How
did he survive that?
He's Brett Favre, and some people are Teflon, man. I don't know. You know, with 6 to me and you bounces off of him because he's made of rubber and glue. I don't know how that rhyme goes, but I'm just saying it's so yes. His racial makeup. He's a good old boy. All those things definitely work in his favor, but I don't think that's the only thing. I really do think that one story is a bit more interesting than the other one. If I'm the news, you know, this one's going to give
draw in.
Yeah, this one's going to have more of a draw than that.
Get more viewers. It's weird.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So Fox News is the more right-wing news organization, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I've seen a couple articles from them talking about it. But you'd think that, you know, you talk about, you know, misappropriation of funds and
millions of dollars,
millions of dollars that are being wasted. That's right up the Republicans' alley right there. You would think they'd be following this a little more. I don't know.
Well, no, because it's Brett Favre and he's a good old boy. So no, I mean, I saw it on CNN. I saw them mention the Brett Favre thing. You know, like, oh, okay, but it was like there's like no follow. Like the follow up behind this story is garbage. It's like crickets.
So even there,
yeah, it's crickets. It's like, and maybe because, you know, everything concerning Brett Favre, there isn't nothing's been finalized. I think more stuff is coming out. And I think as more stuff comes out and you start to hear more and more, I think it starts to develop its own sense of, you know, notoriousness. And the more notorious this thing is, the more Brett Favre starts to look like a bad dude. And that becomes a story. The people still aren't the story. People getting screwed over. They're not a story. Right. It's Brett Favre, you know? So yeah, it's Yeah, I don't know what percentage we can put on it, but yes, the white black thing. I think we'd be naive to think that doesn't play that playing some part in it. But I really do also think that the manner of the nature of the offenses and where they took place definitely has a factor.
Absolutely.
Because you got one that's could possibly be going to jail.
He should, if you ask me.
And on the other end, because like I say, it's hard. Like they keep saying it's deeper than we think with this Udoka situation. But like I said, if it was deeper like that, where he did something like that, why wouldn't you just fired him? Because now to me, you put yourself in the situation by covering it up.
Well, they're not covering it up. They're skirting it.
No, they are.
If it was like a sexual harassment or assault or things of that nature,
they haven't. But we don't know what it is. They're not.
But they said it was they had a consensual relationship.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So they've disclosed some information. They just haven't disclosed enough that we're satisfied. So a cover up would be like, we ain't saying shit. This didn't happen. Nothing to see here. Keep going.
That's what I'm saying. Well, it's more so like he's getting public shamed.
Yes, shame
for what is believed to be a consensual relationship. It's hard. What I'm saying is hard for me to think it was anything worse than that, because if so, Boston would have just fired him.
What? Yeah.
That's more so what I'm saying.
Like you said, outside.
That's more so what I'm saying.
Well, there's no police
outside
involved.
of sexual assault or some type of harassment, right? Let's say it's not that. We don't know, obviously.
Still no police are involved.
What else could it be that
he messed with a married woman's man? A wife, I mean. He messed with a married woman's wife. That's what I'm saying.
Wife.
Is that illegal?
No, it's not illegal, but Boston has its policy and its code of conduct, and they're a private organization or private entity or whatever, so they can adjudicate how they see fit. But I think the hang up is, and why they're all apoplectic and they're like, Brad Stevens is like, I'm upset, and he's like, he wants to say something, but he can't. I think it's because of legal reasons, because if they try to just fire him out flat because of he violated the code of conduct, he'll be like, really? Well, what about their situation?
So I asked this.
I didn't understand that.
That's my phone. It heard some words because it's listening. Big Brother was listening. Sorry about that.
Mine does that sometimes.
Mine do too. I thought I had my headphones.
That's why I
my earpiece in. I was like, huh? So I asked you this because a lot of people was talking about Brad Stevens and how he seemed visibly upset and all this. Thinking of what you're saying, do you think he's upset that he can't do more to Udoka, or that he should have done less to Udoka, but because his boss is probably hounding on him like, you got to do something?
Well, no, I think he was upset with the fact that all other women within the organization that had nothing to do with it were getting thrown out there. Because I think that happened Friday. And I remember Lynn, I was like, damn, they putting this woman on Front Street here. And that ain't right. And then come to find it wasn't, I'm saying, it wasn't true. But that, man, she was all over social media, man. It was crazy. So I think that's what he was really distraught about, just trying to protect them. Now, my other question, I don't know if you saw Malika Andrews, and she mentioned
not a fan.
She
No?
Yeah, well,
I'm not. I've never been a fan.
Huh.
Beyond before this situation.
But
sometimes that can take over the physical. Like I barely watch the show she's on. I'm not a fan. Sorry, you could probably take that out if you need to. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
But about how
disconnected.
You definitely changed.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. She talked about how it was key to protect the woman that's involved in this, and I'm like, well,
Why?
Yeah,
It's consensual.
unless they, like I said, unless like Smoke said, they know something that we don't.
Well, clearly they do. They're just not sharing.
But in that case, knowing something that we don't to keep her identity kept secret and say she faced no discipline, that will give off that it was some type of crime, some type of criminal thing.
Right.
Like if you're doing all this and you're
not necessarily,
but
you're jumping to that conclusion.
It takes
if she's married and the married person works there, like the speculative thing being the VP, that could be a power play. But listen to me, follow me. Say it's the VP or whatever, right? He's like, no, he's embarrassed. You're not having my wife out there. I don't want my business out there. You figure it out. You suspend them or whatever, but you're going to keep my wife's name out of it. You're going to protect my. He may be pulling an entitled power play. It was consensual. It was consensual. She cheated on her husband. I'm just saying, if that's the case.
I did hear one aspect from a guy. I don't know if y'all know who Charleston White is. He's a guy on the internet. He be saying some wild stuff, but he says something that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. Like he's like a snitch. He gets on, like he is. He try to get like especially like rappers and stuff who in jail. But like he said something that opened my eyes. He was like the woman told whoever it was he was messing around with, she told. And under the Whistleblower Act, they can't do anything to her.
Oh,
nah, I don't know how accurate that might be.
No, that is, I think.
But that could be the case. And it probably wasn't even her one to. Probably the husband found out, probably told her to report it. And her job is safe.
Right. But why they haven't fired him, because I think they know that if fired, he could have some legal recourse. And back to Brad Stevens, why y'all put me in this spot? This is a pickle.
But
I
even without
stated
firing, but even when like not firing him, can he still do something about that? Because he
did violate the code of conduct.
Well, yeah, but
you're saying what can he do? They didn't
but
fire him.
How does other parties that are doing those same type of things not being disciplined?
This is
does those rules only apply to certain people?
Well, if it goes to the whistleblower thing, like he's saying, it may
put them in
a different space.
Most companies also have what do you call it, clauses or
tendencies?
No. There's like language that says that people at a certain level cannot have relationships with lower tiered employees, if that makes sense. So if you're on the same level, it's fine.
Right.
And maybe she was on a lower level. So maybe it's one of those issues. You understand what I'm saying? I know I'm probably not saying that correctly.
I get it, but her husband is VP.
Well, that's why he's pulling a power play, kept it out.
Well, what if they got together when they were both, on the same level and he was promoted? I don't know, but this is all speculation. Yes. We don't know anything about anything.
Right, which is the crazy thing. But again, here we are spending all this time speculating. It drives back to the news thing. That one's going to drive the news more than a Brett Favre thing.
Yeah,
it just is because it's the element of we don't know.
And we spent more time talking about that than we did about Brett Favre. That's a damn shame.
And it was more interesting.
There you go. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, fellas, let's go to picks. Oh, man. And this is gonna be a rough year for me. Smoke, you had a pretty good week at 2-1.
I did.
Not bad.
Oh, who I couldn't remember my third pick.
You got
I know the Bears.
You got the Bears right. You got the Ravens right.
I knew I lost.
And you lost the Chiefs.
I did have the Ravens. Okay.
Yeah, you lost the Chiefs.
Them.
But the top dog is our GM, Glenn Morgan, with a 3-0.
3-0.
Whoa. What?
With the Bears, the Lions, and taking the Florida Gators at +11.
I told you guys, it's a rivalry. It's just I wanted us to win, but no way in hell Florida's going to give themselves lose by double digits.
Hey, we're 2-0 as a group though with the Bears.
That's true. Yes.
When we all pick them.
When we all pick them. Yeah.
When we all pick them.
But let me pick them. And it's all over. So I am now I'm in last place, 2-6-1. Smoke, you're at 5-4. And Glenn, you are in first place at 6-3.
3. Yep.
So with me in last place, I will go first here. I'm gonna start with the Cleveland Browns.
Damn, yeah,
they are giving a point to Atlanta.
I gotta pick a different team, man. God.
So I would take that's messed up, man. That's messed up. So I'll take the Browns. I'm gonna take the Cowboys. They're giving 3 to Washington. And I might as well stick with a good thing here. The Bears are getting 3 at New York. I'm going to take the points. Bears +3. Smoke, what you got?
Going Bears +3. We go Detroit -4 versus Seattle. And I'm going to go Titans +3.5 versus the Colts.
The Lions are favorites. Look at that.
They blew the game on Sunday.
Yeah, they could be 2-1.
It should be 2-1.
And finally, GM, what you got?
All right, man. Well, boy, I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings in London over the New Orleans Saints. Vikings are giving up 2.5 points. Chip, chip, cheerio, and all that. And I'm going to take, I ain't going to never pick the same team if you screw me this week again, man. I'm going to take the Browns over the Falcons -1. And I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs straight up against the Bucks.
The Chiefs are even money?
Yep.
Wow.
According to Caesars.
Have they announced where that game is going to be played yet?
It's going to be in Tampa.
It's in Tampa? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever had an even number on here.
I don't believe this is the first.
You know what? I want to change one of mine.
Okay.
I want to change that Titans and Colts pick. I want to go with the Raiders -2.5 over the Broncos.
I thought about that. They're desperate. They need a win.
Mm-hmm.
What are the +2.5?
Yeah. No, the
-2.
-2.
Gotcha.
That old AFC West ain't living up to his billing.
No, not at all.
Sure isn't.
Especially the team in the mountains there.
Man, well, no, the Raiders
And the Raiders too. Yeah, the Raiders too.
Raiders, shoot, I picked them to win it division.
And the Chargers are like a mash unit.
Mm-hmm.
They can't survive to October.
Well, that's why we play the games.
Yeah, true that.
That's it. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I want to thank you all for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You can catch our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, or wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can also catch us at hp53productions.com. There you'll find a link to our podcast and 2 other podcasts, the Super Duper podcast hosted by Rob Griggs and the Father Good podcast hosted by Marshall Givens and Kenny Stevenson. Good listens. Yo, Glenn.
Yep.
Please take us out.
Hey, man, it's like we always say, we ain't saying we're right. We sure as hell ain't Brett Favre wrong, though.
Give the money back. We'll catch you next week.